The following opinions are expressed solely by Abysmii and do not necessarily reflect the views held by anyone else on this channel. Hello everyone, this is Abysmii. If you are unfamiliar with me or my work, I am the creator, editor, and co-host of Raw Dog Readings. I'll leave links in the description of this video to the other stuff I work on so this first rant episode doesn't turn into a major plug. This video is the first episode of a series of installments I am making to address topics in online horror fiction. This includes the community, platforms such as YouTube and Reddit, and many other relevant subjects. This first episode will address a sort of modus operandi for myself and other channels I associate with. I both contribute to and support people reading creepypastas, no-sleep posts, and other horror stories posted online, and more importantly, analyzing those stories. But why? The vast majority of channels dealing with online horror fiction are straight narration channels. Why do I and others choose this route? As I will attempt to explain, I believe this approach to consuming online horror fiction is necessary. Let's take a look at the traditional process for getting a book from the author's mind to the reader's eyes. 1. The author writes the book. 2. The author shops the book to publishers in hopes of getting paid and having their book eventually printed. 3. After securing a publisher, the book will go through an editor. 4. After being sufficiently edited and ready for printing, the publisher will send the book through a distributor to bookstores and other outlets. 5. The reader will purchase the book and read it. This process can take a very long time, especially for small-time authors. But the advent of the internet has radically changed all this. We live in an age where someone can gain fame, or at least internet fame, purely through self-publishing online. Traditional publishers, while still very much used, are not the sole option any longer. Nowadays, the process can be as simple as follows. Step 1. The author writes a story and publishes it to a blog, hosting site, or other internet platform. 2. The reader visits the site and reads the story. That's it. The stories get from the authors to the readers as fast as the book is finished. No middlemen required. This has created a want of instant gratification with online literature, especially online horror fiction. Anyone can be an author with one or more stories posted online for billions of people to access instantly. Veritable floodgates have been opened, resulting in lots of authors posting lots of stories for even more readers. Overall, this is great, wonderful even. The prospect of becoming an author and getting recognized for your work by actual fans is no longer a pipe dream for many. However, this does tend to cut out one crucial step in the publishing process: editing. Publishers require a book be edited not just for controversial content they don't want to associate with, but also grammar, typos, etc. Self-publishers don't have to get an editor. They may run a story by a critique section on the Creepypasta Wikia, or even by some friends, but oftentimes they just post at will online. As a now common practice, a lot of readers typically overlook mistakes. This has brought down the quality of online horror fiction by an immense deal, making most of it laughable and inarticulate. Still, there exists no requirement for self-publishers to get editors, nor am I saying there should be such a requirement. Critique, analysis, and editing should be on a voluntary basis for these stories to keep the DIY or do-it-yourself ecosystem. Why? Because this ecosystem has something that traditional publishing does not, which is a sense of direct involvement with one's readers. Comments will flood a blog or YouTube video as opposed to letters being written to authors. The delivery of goods and resulting feedback is direct, and I think that is something we should keep. So, how does one encourage this voluntary system of editing, analysis, and critique? There's only 3 ways I am aware of at this time. Number 1. Sign up on the hosting sites for these stories and join the areas where stories are sent for critique. 2. Directly message or comment on the posted stories with suggested edits and analysis. 3. Host or join a channel or podcast that reads stories and discusses them. All these routes will likely get the author's attention with varying degrees of success. If you do so in a polite, respectful, and helpful manner, you may even foster a good reputation for yourself and encourage others to do so. Now, why do I regard this as so important as to devote 2 podcasts and my own money to? Why do I care so much? Why put in all this effort? If you follow me on Twitter, you'll know that I tend to rant a lot more crudely than I am speaking right now. I'm hypercritical of the online horror narration community. There's gotta be a shorter way of expressing that, because it is something I am a part of. In short, I criticize narration channels because they, and others, are ruining something good. Not all channels, of course, but there are many at fault. I'm going to disclaim this right now. This, and future episodes, will be calling out what I view as poor practices and techniques. I'll attempt to refrain from naming people unless they are committing grievous infractions. So, how do narration channels fit into this episode and particular topic? Narration channels get most of, if not all of, the attention in online horror fiction. For as many authors and readers there are out there, I'm willing to bet that no one has a bigger following than channels like Mr. Creepypasta, Creepypasta, Bbusta, Corpse Husband, Lazy Masquerade, and others. These channels have anywhere from 100,000 to over 1 million subscribers. Prolific authors, on the other hand, do not, or we don't have a useful way to measure how many people follow them. Granted, there are popular authors like I Post at Midnight, Slime Beast, 1000 Vultures, Vincent Vianacava, and Michael Whitehouse, but they don't have YouTube accounts earning them a living. Readers may love their stories and follow them, but not to the extent that YouTubers are being supported. So, you might be asking, big deal. As long as the authors are getting exposure, that's what matters, right? In the infancy of narration channels, yes, but that is no longer the reality we live in. People flock to narration channels to either hear stories in bulk or just consume whatever singular story is posted without much thought given to the author. To be concise, narration channels are commodifying stories without paying authors due respect. Again, not all channels do this, but the big ones with the lion's share of followers do. Let's take a look at some of the bigger channels and their videos. Okay, so I'm gonna type Creepypasta into the YouTube search. What comes up? 1 million subscriber channel. Creepypasta, some of his videos. Yeah, got some stuff by Slime Beast. Skillfully Circus, good discussion channel actually. Mr. Creepypasta, 1 million subscribers plus. But yeah, let's just check this out here.
But they built an entire new section, including a crawl space.
The
family that lived here before us had 3 sons, Tommy, Danny, and Gary.
Yeah, reading a story. Cool. Let's skip to the end, see if they talk about the author at all.
A little faster.
Nope. Click on my shit. Cool. Let's go to the... Oh yeah, you'll notice here, who's it by? Back when I used to do narrations, I would call out the author here. It's not required, but, you know, it's kind of just a decent thing to do. Let's see here. Why is it that creepy dolls sneak their way into our horror? Okay. Best creepypastas of 2016. Some other stuff, something by him. Subscribe. Subscribe to me. Original story. There we go. Kind of, you know, a quarter of the way down the list with a link. Like, that cat is cool. Let's see here. This is just about what creepypastas are. Okay. My other side channel. Email me. Thank you to people for stuff. Patreon. You know, just self-advertising here. Pretty much nothing about the author. No, granted, okay, fine. This is, you're reading the story, people are coming here to consume the story. But when this happens enough, and this is my larger point, authors kind of get shoved to the wayside here. You know, people aren't coming here to celebrate the author or find out why the story's good or anything like that. It's just, I want to hear creeps read stuff. But, you know, if you read the phone book, I can guarantee you he wouldn't have 1 million subscribers. Let's see what the comments say. Hey, it's my birthday. Notice me, senpai. Okay, someone trying to point out a plot point. That's nice. Having a discussion. That's rare, but it's good to see. I'm glad. Notification squad. Ha ha ha. I've been early for every one of your vids. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Oh my god. Hey, creeps. Yeah, so very, very little, you know, of discussing the author or asking anything about the story or discussion. It's just, you know, talking about the narrator or other inane bullshit. I can't be too hard on it simply because, fine, that's not what they're coming here for. But again, you multiply this so many times and it just, the focus shifts from what makes a good story to, you know, hero worship. So let's move on. This is Unit 522. I screen capped some of his videos, and because I was looking at the description here for these, you know, multiple story videos, hour and 16 minutes from Reddit. Mega Collab number 2. I think I maybe looked at Mega Collab number 1 or something and said, hey, you know, it's kind of messed up to not credit these people. Without them, your video would not exist whatsoever. And that I didn't like that practice. I think it's scuzzy. And he actually contacted me and said he agrees with me and that he's going to work to go back and make sure everyone's credited properly in all of these. So maybe he just hasn't got to this one yet. I don't know. Hopefully he does. It is from August of last year, so maybe it's just kind of far down the list. But this is a good example of something you will see. So let's see here. 11 true scary stories from Reddit. Special guests. People who talked on the video. Link to other video. Where to submit the stories. I mean, that's a start. PayPal donation. Other junk. You know, imagine if this was your story. If it was mine, and I found out it was in here and I wasn't credited, I would be very angry. You know, I work hard on the stuff I do. I don't write a lot, but I work hard on those stories. I work really hard on my music. If someone used that without properly crediting me, I'd be very angry. You know, someone's making money off of this for something that other people give away for free. And the least they can do is say where they got it from. Alright, let's see here. I love falling asleep to this. Always an honor to be on the channel. It's collab stuff. Listening to this while drawing. Cool. Nothing. Okay, again. Nothing really about the stories. A little bit, not much. The point I'm trying to make here is that the authors and the stories and what makes good online horror fiction is not the focus here. It really isn't. Moving on, Lazy Masquerade, top 18 disturbing true stories. True, he's verified them. There's empirical proof. There's police reports. There's all sorts of stuff to back all this up. He's gone through it with a fine-tooth comb, and you know it's all true. This is just kind of a side note, but saying they're true automatically makes me think they're not, because this is fiction. Pretty sure all this is fiction, and if it isn't, you shouldn't have to put true in the title. Your writing should be focused on tricking me into believing it's true. Why should I believe it's true? Because otherwise this is all hearsay. Anyway, I'll devote a rant to that later. Okay, a collection of the 18 favorite true stories from the past few months. So he's already done these. He's just putting them in a compilation to re-upload. God, hard work. Hard work. Let's see. 18 stories. No credit. No credit. Where'd you get them from? Is it Reddit? I don't know. No one knows. Maybe I could go and sort through these other videos and try to find them and track them down. But again, hey, definitely credit your music provider. But none of the people that made the stories. That's just great. Oh, wow. Nothing. I hope you guys are like reading and I'm not scrolling too fast, but it's just like no one gives a shit, dude. Oh, hello. I'm so sick and tired of hearing all the same stories over and over again on every single different channel. Channels need to start obtaining and using different and more sources for their stories, because this is getting ridiculous. I may as well unsubscribe from all, which is a lot except for 1 or 2 channel tops. It's nothing but the same old recycled stories in every channel. I'll click on a new video and I've already heard half of the stories several times, each already disappointing. Thank you, Lared. Thank you. You put it in very concise terms, and that is beautiful. Of course, people are going to rush to defend, though. People send the stories in. Maybe they do. Maybe these are subscriber stories. Again, how would we know? How would we know? Doesn't say. Don't blame them, just skip the story. Skip the story? How am I supposed to know if the next one is probably one I haven't heard, or I have already heard? Yes, when you make a channel, you kind of do have a responsibility for creative content. Yeah, no, I like what the Red's saying here. It's putting the responsibility back onto the narrators, because people just, they flood and they defend these channels. You know, they can do no wrong. Every copyright strike is unfair. You know, there's nothing wrong with what they're doing. It's just, it's so annoying. I'm gonna make another video. I know I have just listed off a dozen videos I'm gonna make, but I'm gonna make a video discussing just how little work goes into making these narration videos. People think, you know, if it takes an hour, if it's an hour's worth of content, that's, you know, it's hard. It's time consuming. It takes a lot of time. It is not difficult. It is not difficult. When you don't make the stories, and you don't make the music, and you don't make the images, and all you're doing is just reciting stuff and slapping it together, that is not difficult. So, whatever. And, you know, do I blame Unit 5.2? Sorry, well, they all kind of run together. You know, scary mask guy, scary skull guy, and that, I'll get to that later. Anyway, it's just, you know, do I blame these guys for all doing the same stories? Kinda. You know, if you're all taking from the same well, yeah, it's all gonna be the same, similar stories. But, you know, they're to blame. They're to blame because they put it in this format of top 18 disturbing true stories. Fit into a category. You know, nothing about your story is special or distinct from the other one. You're just another thing to be sold. It's really annoying. You know, I don't post on places where people can just take and use my stories anymore because I would hate to be lobbed into this. You know, I work my ass off on what I do, and I try to make it engaging and just to stand out and to hopefully provoke discussion. I would hate to be on this list. And if that's what people want, more power to them. I'm not going to judge, but this is the result. Everyone just reading the same stuff, everyone following the same trends, and people just get lost in the shuffle. Sorry, I know I'm kind of going on a tangent with this discussion, but this is important, and I'm glad people are bringing this crap up, you know? So where were we? It's just getting the exact same stories off of Reddit. These channels have become oversaturated and need to find different news sources. That's not me whining, that's not me being unreasonable, that's not me being a bitch, it's just stating what is going on. If that offends anybody, oh well. God, I don't even know you. And I like what I'm hearing. I like what you're saying. I'm very of the same mind on this. Disappointing. Just be grateful this guy's updating as he is. Good and scary content is hard to find these days. Did you not hear anything she said? Or read, rather? Updating at all. There's 1,000 channels like this, dude. Everyone's doing the same thing. Your voice is amazing. Yeah, it's just whatever. Okay, moving on. Insomniac. True Scary Stories Mega Compilation. I keep seeing these Mega Compilations, you know? Put together fucking 4 hours worth? Oh my god. Oh. Is this just like... Okay, yeah, so again, this is stories that have already been done. Not just by him, but by other people probably. But yeah, stuff he's already done, and just put it together. Re-upload it. Why not? 20, 25, 21 stories. I can count. 21 stories. Not a freaking credit amongst them. Not even a title. They're just true and scary. Definitely true. Can't question them. Oh, man. Whatever, I'm done reading these comments, man. Like, I just, whatever. Okay. And then finally, Horror Studio 1, 100,000 subscribers plus. 127 and change. True scary stories from the internet. Internet horror stories. Creepy true stories taken from... Okay, I guess it's from Reddit. Alright. 5. Stories aren't even mentioned whatsoever. Yeah, this is all just like SEO stuff. But music credits are there. The music credits are there because it's a lot easier to hit someone, well, to find someone if they're using their music, your music, I should say, and then like file a copyright strike if you're not being properly credited. A lot harder to do that with a story if someone's reading it out, especially if you don't put it anywhere. Oh man. Oh. I mean, that's a start. And that's not even him. Or them. They, I don't know who this channel is, but that's a user. Oh. Great. Great. Yeah, so... this is what I'm talking about. You know, it's not hard to see. It's really not hard to see. This is where the money is. This is where the popularity is. This is where you can get a lot of subscribers relatively quickly. Sorry, my voice is a bit shot from today. But, yeah. What are you gonna do? I mean, this video I'm making, I can't stop this. If a bunch of us showed up, we can stop this. I can't convince 100,000 people to, unsubscribe from this dude, and I'm not trying. Don't think that I'm here to, like, burn down every narration channel. I'm trying to get the word out on how this practice, this bandwagoning, this hero worship is holding online horror fiction back. It really is. 5 true scary party horror stories. Never mind you put your work into this story. Never mind that you're a person. And, and you deserve that recognition at the very least. Maybe these channels are like subscriber submission ones. Typically they say subscriber stories or something. I don't see them here. Whatever. I don't know. Hopefully that wasn't too boring. How does that fit into my larger point, though? Well, look at a comment section sometime, like the ones I looked at. Most messages are about how awesome the narrator's voice is, how they are seriously freaked out, OMG, how they love the channel, etc., etc. Nothing really about why the stories are good, not in any significant detail anyway. No one asking where more of the author's work can be found. This is a direct result of narrators churning out hour-long videos of several stories multiple times a week. Who wrote the story, why it was written, what makes it good or what makes it bad is not the priority here. It's views. It's trends and it's views. Do people have to ask these questions? No. No one has to do anything I'm advocating here, and I doubt these larger channels care. But look at these videos. Do you think out of the 10 true scary stories that were narrated, a listener will remember its title, author, or anything about the story without looking it up again? Probably not. And the narrator sure as hell won't, considering how many stories they go through in a week. Still not convinced as to why this is an issue? Let's do a thought exercise. To yourself, name a true scary story, the author, and the plot without looking any up. I'll be impressed if you can. Now, I'm going to recall a story, author, and plot for you, but you probably don't even need me to. Abandoned by Disney by Slimebeast, about a person who infiltrates an abandoned Disney theme park and has a horrific encounter with the famous photo-negative Mickey. I'll suggest another one. The Russian Sleep Experiment. If you don't remember the author, it is because it was posted anonymously, but we all remember what happened with the experiment. Here's a third. Tulpa. Again, the author is unknown, but that story is famous for a reason. Psychosis by Matt Demersky? I can't tell. Candle Cove by Chris Straub, 1999, the list goes on. These stories have been posted, commented on thousands of times, and narrated hundreds of times, but we still remember them and discuss what makes them good or bad. How often does anyone discuss why that one true scary werewolf story in that 1 hour-long video on that one narrator's channel is any good or bad? I can't really imagine they do often. Why? Because it is disposable. It is cheapened by the fact that narrators do not pay it respect. It is lumped in with other stories of similar theme or subject. When I read a story on my podcast, I say who the author is, where you can find the story, what its strengths and weaknesses are. Why? Because for all the work I put into making a video or podcast, it pales in comparison to how much it takes to make a story from scratch, especially a good one. Oftentimes, the bigger narration channels aren't interested in that. They are interested in what gets views, how many stories they can pack in one video, what the latest trends are. It was Creepypasta, then it was Deep Web, then it's Let's Not Meet, now it is true scary stories. But in reality, it doesn't matter what the story is as long as people click on that link. Some channels go as far as only accepting subscriber submissions, meaning that new stories are written purely to get them narrated and heard on a channel. To me, this is disgusting. It's artless commerce. It's creating something purely to get noticed and not to make something valuable. With the flood of new stories being made purely to fit into a category, we are witnessing in real time a devaluing of online horror fiction. Creepypastas used to be made with the intent of unnerving a reader by making them question the validity of what was being presented. You could lie about a website or an existing show, and as long as your writing was convincing, you truly creep your reader out by making them question your words. Scores of readers went to look up if the Normal Porn for Normal People website existed. People faked fan videos of Candle Cove to add to the mythos. Photo-negative Mickey has spread to so many fan games you'd think it was a leftover character from Disney itself. A random story claiming to be a true vampire encounter doesn't fool anybody. Actually, it probably fools some people, but not in a good way. The most ugly byproduct of large narration channels is the lack of respect of intellectual property. Old and new narrators alike will scoop up stories posted online, assuming that everything is CC by SA, without seeing if permission is needed or just asking. They will monetize their videos without checking if something is licensed non-commercial. Copyright strikes will be resorted to, but only the authors really care. Fans just want new videos, narrators just want to post to get more views, and very few of us are standing up or giving attention to authors and their rights. What's worse, fans of people like Mr. Creepypasta will rush to his defense, claiming that he's in the right and the authors have no say in how their property is handled. It's sickening and worrying. I'll talk more about this in an episode about the Creepypasta trademark. This is a big reason as to why I do what I do. I'm sure there are some big channels that actually do care about authors and do care about every one of the 3,000 narrations they've posted, but I've yet to see definitive proof. Thankfully, I know of smaller channels that do commit a lot of time and energy to making singular story narrations. Each story is given individual attention with music and sound effects, so they discuss what they'd like about the story, enhancing the author and the reader in the process. Unfortunately, this is not a common practice. I'm acutely aware that people don't have to, and probably don't care about what I'm saying here. These narrators have large followings because they are supplying what a lot of people want. I'm not here to say that we should crusade to have these channels and this practice banned, but I am sure as hell going to explain why it's so bad for the community and art form of writing horror fiction. You don't have to take my advice, but the content you consume will continue to hurt if more people don't speak out. Right, I've been talking for a while, and this is a good ending point as any. I have a lot more to talk about in future episodes. If you have a suggestion for something I should discuss, please let me know in the comments or contact me on Twitter at Abysmii, Abysmii. Thank you for listening. I hope I've imparted some knowledge or at least made you all think critically about this community and this art form. I apologize for my voice. It's a little bit raspy right now, but it should be better in future episodes. So please consider tuning back in. Thank you for listening. All the original music used here is of my creation. You can check out my music channel if you enjoy that. You can also check out my science fiction podcast, Ray Gun Readers, if you want more story analysis. Thanks again.